Hi, and welcome to our latest episode of the Kith and Kin Hospitality Podcast, Stories from the Hospitality Industry. I'm really happy to welcome Robin Williams here with me today to tell us all about the ups and downs that have brought him to where he is today, and of course, what makes the hospitality industry so special. So, hi, Robin. How are you doing?
Hi there. I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, good to meet you.
Fantastic. So
Good to speak with you.
Can we just start by you just introducing yourself? Tell us what you do. Yeah.
So I financial controller in hotel industry. Been in the industry doing this for about 30 years now. And what I do now is basically what I call cluster financial control for independent hotels, whereby I take the benefits that groups have found of having a shared controller across several sites, charge an independent hotel a reasonable fee for their share of it, and just make sure they have all the systems and processes and reports and everything else in place that you'd expect from the larger groups these days, so that they're running efficiently and not spending a fortune on their financial control.
And I know, because I know your story, but you've got a really interesting route into the industry. So can you tell us about that?
Organizing it, which was still alive, still running in those days, to do a postgraduate. Did a postgraduate in hotel management. I did a stint as in their management training program, and then started as a restaurant manager in a hotel for them. But I also, because I was looking for jobs, I also got offered a job out in Gibraltar as a night auditor for a 5-star hotel, and I decided to take an adventure, go out there, see what that was like. And while I was there, I came across probably one of my mentors, which was a financial controller who'd just started with the company as well, who was sort of person who fixes things rather than just going over the same old mill. He actually came in and he was sorting things out. I was doing the night audit. We were introducing things. It all was quite interesting. But unfortunately, the Gibraltar tax system out there is not friendly to people. So after a year, I came back. I did a stint as an operations manager for Trust House Forte. Typical small pub in the countryside, getting up at early in the morning on a Saturday, doing service, doing a wedding, doing the evening dinner, locking up at 3:00 in the morning, and then getting up at 6 to not only serve the breakfast but check out the guests. The sort of like, typical thing for operations manager. I lived in, so literally I was at the beck and call of the business. And it was interesting. But while I was there, the general manager was one of these managers that I always considered to be the correct manager. He had the gift of talking to a client who may be upset and just turning them around. Some people say the gift of the gab, but it's that ability to actually talk to people and just do that turnaround. Whereas I hate to say it, I'm a bit too direct myself. So so I kind of realized that I was never going to get that good at being a hotel manager. And I enjoyed the finance side of it, doing the stock takes, organizing things, all that sort of thing. So I moved on with Trust House Forte to their Cumberland Hotel in London, big nearly 900 bedroom hotel. Came across who I'd also consider one of my mentors, which is a lady called Mandy Newton. And she taught me sort of all round the accounts department, all the different aspects of the finance department. And I really enjoyed it. So I was with them for 3 or 4 years, went through while they changed their name to Forte, and all the rest of it. And then, for personal reasons, decided to move out to Barcelona. I took a job as income auditor in a hotel in Barcelona, 5-star, but it was a Hilton Conrad, and they weren't that happy with not the financial controller, the whole Hilton aspect. Spanish companies are very adverse to dealing with management companies because they think they can make the money themselves rather than paying fees to these management companies. After about a year, they decided that they would part ways with Hilton Conrad And that meant parting ways with the financial controller that was elected by Hilton Conrad. And I moved up to actually be the financial controller of the hotel. Stayed with them for 3 or 4 years. We did a spa opening, spa software, opened a conference center, again, more conference software, and went through the change from the peseta to the euro. So I was constantly being sort of challenged with new things to sort out during my time there. And then I eventually got headhunted by a company called Stein Group to open a boutique hotel in Barcelona up on the mountains. Lovely building. They'd taken an old hotel, then war hospital or whatever. They'd literally raised it up on stilts and put in another floor beneath it with a restaurant and spa and everything. It was an architectural wonder as well as being a hotel wonder. It was a lovely hotel.
Yeah.
First stainless steel swimming pool I'd ever seen. We were serving canapes in the swimming pool, but literally no water, just the people when we did the opening. But it was a fantastic experience. And again, that was a full opening, so setting up all the procedures, setting up all the systems, all that sort of thing. And that led me on after a while. I did a few other bits and pieces and then went with them again down to Malaga to open another lovely hotel, which was Finca Cortesine, which, again, full opening, including all the pre-opening purchases of OS&E, etc., convincing the managers why they had to have speakers in the restaurants to give some ambience and telling them why they had to have all this equipment in the spa, etc., etc. Well, it was an interesting challenge, and that was an interesting hotel because they had bought a valley. They'd built a 5-star golf course out of it, and then they were selling villas at about 1.5 million euros a piece. So they wanted a hotel where people would come and stay, get the 5-star service, and then go, I'll buy a villa while I'm here.
Buy a villa here, yeah.
As you do when you've got that much money.
Yeah.
So,
of course, don't we all?
Yes. Yeah. So I was with them for about 4 or 5 years, and kind of foolishly made a move of thinking that actually I could go into consultancy over there. And I spent 9 months going around the whole of Spain, being loved by everyone, everybody wanting to know me, but nobody actually wanted to pay me for the advice I was giving them. So I then decided I needed to find a job quick. I got a job with a group back in the UK, and it was a small 5-hotel group based down in the southwest, and basically set up. The gentleman was moving his accounts department down to the southwest from Manchester, and he wanted to make sure that it was proper financial control with the reports, etc. So I basically set up the financial control department from scratch for these 5 hotels down in Torquay, made sure they had all the reporting, made sure they had all the systems, and I just had a couple of basically coordinators to do the hotels, to do all the admin bits, and then I had an accounts payable person and a payroll person, and that was the setup for these hotels, and that kind of led me on to where I am now, really, because the idea of when you've got a few hotels, it's actually a lot more effective and a lot cheaper to centralize your financial control than just having a financial controller in every single hotel. After that, I moved on doing a lot of, again, fixing hotels where they hadn't had a financial controller for a few months and having to sort of sort out the mess, set everything up working correctly, sometimes passing it on to somebody else who would be sort of like full-time but probably on a lower pay scale than what they were paying me. And I did an opening for the Hinkley Point campus. They had 2 accommodation blocks, one for 1,000 rooms and one for 500. and the guys who were who'd taken the tender for the financial control were very experienced financial controllers, but it was a new start for this particular thing. So I went in with my little diagram of how all the systems work together, how everything how the information flows and everything, and they really liked it. So got that job and basically set up the whole processes, set up everything, set up all the systems, and was with them for about a year and a half. And that's when I kind of just thought that perhaps there was a new way to go. So during that time, I had been doing the financial control for a couple of hotels in my spare time for a colleague, an ex-colleague. They had a couple of hotels. They were small hotels, and it just needed sorting out and doing the financial control. And I was doing like evenings, weekends, and all that sort of thing. And I kind of realized that actually, if you've got everything in place, you don't need the full-time financial controller to do this sort of stuff. And bearing in mind what I'd learned at the other group of hotels, it was a case of, it's a case of just when you've got an independent hotel, a lot of the times you need high experience because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
But you don't need somebody full-time with that high experience because most of it is just admin work, which it can either be done on somebody with an admin wage or with systems that sort of, everybody works with the systems. And I suppose it's the way that the groups have already taken on board. They have these cluster management control, financial controls and everything. I never wanted to go. I don't go as far as they go. I tend to treat myself as part of a team. I'm always available. I'm very much sort of like, I am the controller of the hotel in cahoots. I just don't sit in their office drinking tea, basically. I did go along the line with one client of being there on a Friday. However, I soon realized that basically I used to sit there on a Friday and perhaps have a meeting for an hour with a GM going through stuff and then do stuff that I'd probably be able to do out of the office quite easily anywhere else. And then I'd spend the other 4 days of the week with somebody else, fielding calls from them about the different issues that were going on. So I said, no, this is stressful. So I said, right, no, the rule is I work from my office and I'm always available. Whenever you need me, I'm not going to be in somebody else's business, not going to be talking about your business in front of other people. I am going to be there for you whenever you need me. I'm just not going to be there. I'm going to be on the end of a telephone, WhatsApp. It depends on the client. Some like to have a nice chat every morning, sort of like half an hour. Even if they don't actually have anything to talk about, they just like to have a chat. Some of them just throw off WhatsApp messages constantly all through the day, which I respond to. Perhaps do an update once a week by Teams. So it's very much a fluid communication, but it works well because they get all the benefit of having sort of good financial control. They get the systems in place which help them to administer efficiently, and but they're not spending a fortune on a controller. And more than anything, they have day-to-day information, and I think that's what a lot of smaller hotels miss. Go on.
No, I was just going to say, I guess what's so important and actually what makes it slightly different for when you're working with a company is that rather than coming from just purely an accounting background, you're coming from a hospitality background. And so you actually have this really not just, experience of sitting there as a financial controller and experiencing hospitality and the complexities of the business, but because you've worked up right the way through with that early experience in the industry, you have a real genuine understanding of actually the complexities of how the systems are working.
True, definitely. And I always say I would never want to work for a typical accountancy firm because it kind of looks like the same every day, whereas in hotels there's always something new and there's always challenges, and I suppose I've made myself challenges all the way through my career. I often look at it, I've sort of been parachuted in to sort of sort out places and resolve the situation. but that in itself gives you an insight into where things can go wrong and what needs to be done to make sure they don't go wrong in the future. And that's a constant learning curve that then gets applied to sort of future projects and other clients and all the rest of it. So it works well in that sort of context.
And what I love about your sorry, I was going to say, but what I really love about your story is that I mean, those of us in hospitality, we know that one of the drivers that keeps us really engaged in the industry is just the constant problem solving. But then what most people, because most people that we talk about the hospitality industry, we're talking about the customer facing element of it. And so people get, they discover this ability to be able to perform to the customer, to be able to deliver those, these high levels of service to the customer. What I absolutely love about your story is this early recognition that that wasn't you, but actually what you were driven by was the other element of the hospitality industry, which is that it's all driven by systems, and that recognizing and understanding those systems and getting them to work efficiently is such a really important part of the industry as well. And I just love that about your story, this sort of this moment you have where you go, oh yeah, that's not me, but I am this one. and that took you in that route.
Yeah, and it led to me. I have a strong believer that the only way that the guys can dedicate themselves to customer service efficiently is by having everything in the background working correctly. It's like the old story of the military. The battles are won by the fact that the supplies come in from behind. If the supplies stop,
Absolutely.
suddenly and it's the same scenario. I try to make sure that everything's working correctly behind and information's flowing regularly, daily revenue reports, weekly payroll cost analysis, all that sort of thing. Sort of people are constantly aware of what's going on and they know what they're supposed to do so that they can kind of just forget about it a bit. As long as they do what they need to do, they can concentrate on actually giving service to the client, which is what generates the sales and generates the profit.
Absolutely. So what would you say was your biggest mistake though in this journey?
Like I say, probably trying to go independent in Spain was a pretty big mistake, because it was lots of cups of tea and lots of people saying hi and all the rest of it, but I needed, but other than that, and it's I don't know, it's every day is a learning curve. Every day you can make small mistakes, but it's learning from those mistakes, which is important. Rather than carrying on making the mistake, is sitting back and saying, right, no, something's not working here. We need to approach it in a different way. And it's like I say, it's little things along the way. I say no, not a major mistake. I've come across lots of major mistakes. And usually it's to do with the fact that the people don't understand actually how it all goes together. I said about the diagram I did for the Hinkley Point, and I always do that diagram now for the clients, because a lot of the time something goes wrong because they don't realize how the pieces interact, and a piece of information is going the wrong place, and it's not. And I came across a client where they thought they had a surplus of revenue, and they put it through as a revenue extra 1 year. And because when they came to reconcile all the accounts at the end of the year, they thought, oh, this money's extra. When actually they were forgetting to take into account a piece of a business or a piece of a balance. Mm-hmm. And often when I go into one of these projects where I have to set it all up, what I do is I go and look at what all the information there is of what should be the balance sheet, and then work backwards to make sure that I find all the different bits and pieces that have gone wrong and where things are and what should be where, and work that way, rather than just relying on that everything's flowing forward not correctly, because it often isn't.
Brilliant. So could you just, I'm going to put all of your information into the show notes and have all your links, etc. But can you just tell people where they can find you and how they can get in touch?
So I've got a website, which is hotelsynergies.com. And my email address is r.williams@hotelsynergies.com. It's funny, I created that name a long time ago, but I thought about the synergy between me, the general manager's knowledge, and the systems all working together to create the final product. And that's that's my ethos in life going always, So yeah, it's a synergy of it for hotels basically. But yep, they can get me on those anytime.
Brilliant. And it absolutely is, because actually, as you say, unless those systems behind are working, and unless the people are, you've got the right experts in place making everything run smoothly, actually the people on the front can't be delivering that exceptional customer experience that people expect. So it does all have to work together. Thank you so much for your time, Robin. I really love your story. I love how you got into it, and also everything that you're doing now to support hotels. Thank you so much, and hope to chat soon.
Thank you.